So we made our database of PHP CMS in which we created one table so far of category. So in this lecture, we are going to establish the connection to this database of PHP CMS. So in the same folder of PHP CMS that is inside my folder of PHP course, I'm going to create here a new folder with the name of include, and in this folder I'm going to create new file and I'm gonna call this file to be db.php. Now opening this file in my editor, starting the PHP tag. Now we need to establish our connection with this file of categories. So adding one variable of connection here, and that variable is going to help us connect with MySQL underscore connect function, and that is going to connect with our local host as we are working locally. So I have added this local host right here. Now in the next part, I have to add the name of my user of database, as I don't have any users in this PHP myadmin. So I'm gonna use the default user of root and adding the semicolon at the end. Now this root doesn't also have any password, so for the password field I'm going to add just the simple string to be empty. Now on the next line I'm going to create new variable and I'm gonna call this variable to be connecting db, and that variable will be equal to one MySQL statement, and that is MySQL underscore select underscore db, because we are going to select our database. And you can see we have the name of this database to be PHP CMS. So in this parameter I have to pass my database name PHP CMS, and in the next parameter I have to pass this variable of connection right here. So saving this one out, now I'm going to connect this file of db.php with this file of categories.php. So right before anything I'm going to add here PHP tag, in which I'm gonna require that file of db.php. So adding it right here. So by using PHP function of require once, I'm gonna include that file of db.php that is inside my this folder of include. So adding first of all the include folder directory, then I have this file of db.php. Now everything looks good. Now saving this one out, we have this file of categories.php. So getting into the main area, you can see we have this h1 heading. I'm gonna create some other text here. I'm gonna call something like manage categories. Now saving this one out, we don't need these text now, so getting rid of these text. Now saving this one out, now it's time we should add one form that could help us to add the category data into our table of category. So first of all, adding one div inside this div of call sm10, and in this div I'm going to add one form, and the action will be the same file to be categories.php, because we are going to add the PHP code in the same file of categories.php, and the method will be post. Now inside form I'm going to add here one field set. Now let's add one label to our field. So the label for category name will be name as well. So adding the name text right here. Now adding the input field of type to be text, and its name will be category with the capital C, and the ID of this input field with the same category name, so that the label should match with this ID. This ID should match with this for if you want to add the correct label to your field. And the placeholder, I'm gonna add name. Now closing of this input tag, let's align it. Now saving this one out. If I refresh my page, you can see we got this very dull field. So let's style this field. So for styling, we have to enclose this label and input inside one div, and that div will have the class of bootstrap of form group. Actually, the form group class of bootstrap add the optimum spacing around our input field. So enclosing this whole input field and its label inside this div, this one. Now saving this one out, refreshing the page. Now you can see we got couple of spaces around these field. So as you can see, this field doesn't have very good length, so you can increase the width of this field and make it to 100% by just adding one simple class of bootstrap inside your input field. So I'm going to add here one class of form control that is also the class of bootstrap. Now saving this one out, refreshing the page. It's look great now due to form control class. Now I'm going to add one button right after this div of form group so that we can submit the category name. So adding one button right here, and that button will be input type of submit, and its name will be submit as well with the capital S, and the value will be add new category. Now saving this one out, refreshing the page. We got this button. Let's style also this button as well. So you can style button by using the bootstrap class of btn. So I'm going to add here one class of btn. Then you can change the style to that btn class. So I'm going to add the btn default that is going to change the color of our button. So saving this one out, refreshing the page. Now you can see we got this cool button. You can also change its background. So instead of adding the default, you can change it to primary to have the nicer look. Refreshing the page. Now you can see we got this blue button. So if I change this primary to be info, then we will have the color to be sky blue. So you can also change this info to be success to have the green button, and you can also change this success btn class to danger to have the red button as well. So let's stick with our success button, btn success. Refreshing the page. It's look great. Now adding the br tag before and after this button. And also you can resize your button by adding one more class of btn lg to make it little bit big, or you can use the class of sm to make it smaller, or you can use the btn block class to have quite large block button. So I'm gonna stick with this style of btn block. So now we got this field, and then we got this add new category. So we made this form, simple form. Now before doing anything further, we need to make sure that this file that we just added db.php doesn't have any errors. So this statement looks great on line 2. If you see on line 3, we got the string around our variable of connection. That's why we could have some problems. So saving this one out, If I refresh this page, so if I try to open my file of db.php that is inside the include folder, you can see we don't have any error. It means that everything working perfect.